Hi again. Welcome back to Snyder's. That's me. Music Biz News. There are a lot of recording studios who specialize in audiobooks, and they bring in voiceover talent to read the books, and they're usually pretty small studios, and that is sort of their forte, and that's why this article caught my eye. HarperCollins CEO touts Spotify's audiobooks entry. AI's impact on publishing. The future of audiobooks and AI's impact on the publishing industry were points of discussion for HarperCollins, whose CEO, Brian Murray, spoke at the UBS Global Media and Communications Conference on Tuesday. During the event, the exec praised Spotify's entry into the audiobooks market and detailed its future growth plans in the space. Does this mean that with Spotify getting into the audiobooks market that there's going to be an expanded need for more and more content? And would that mean that there's more and more work for these voiceover audiobook type of recording studios? Well, that could be the good news of Spotify getting into the market. He also touched on how AI technology could both threaten and hurt publishers in the days ahead, which we'll get to in a minute. Of note, Murray said that audiobooks will continue to outsell ebooks in terms of total revenues and are helping offset declines from lagging ebook sales. In terms of AI, the CEO declined to discuss specifics of licensing deals like the one it signed with Microsoft for AI model training, citing non-disclosure agreements with Microsoft, but stressed that it's early days for AI licensing, calling it a fascinating time in the industry. So what is it the AI is learning to do? Is it training to write the books, or is AI being used to read the books so you don't need voice over talent? So they could have, based on the last episode, Randy Travis reading a book, using AI to model the Randy Travis type of voice. I don't know. And they can't talk about it for some reason, which makes it even more interesting what's going on there. Spotify entered the market in a very smart way. They had several 100 million listeners of music and podcasts, so it was a very small adjacent shift for them to monetize the audiobook listener. Spotify's relationship with HarperCollins, similar to Harper's deal with Audible, involves a wholesale distribution deal, which means that the publisher is paid on a consumption basis, a per-listen sort of model. Now, this kind of model differs from that of music because when it comes to streaming music, Spotify and those streaming companies will pay a blanket license, and then it's up to the record labels how to split up the money they make from these licenses. When it comes to audiobooks, the publisher of the audiobook will get paid every time somebody listens to it. And then it's up to the publisher to pay the writers. That sort of model is more direct than the streaming music model, where a percentage of subscription revenue first goes into a pool and is paid out to artists. The publisher can tell authors exactly what their royalties will be from audiobooks under this model. And switching gears, Murray then spoke about the potential and concerns around artificial intelligence and how it will affect publishing. This is book publishing again, and audiobooks. Beyond the obvious risks associated with IP-based businesses, intellectual property-based businesses founded on copyright, the publisher is worried about generative AI, which could lead to an explosion of lower quality content, competing for consumers' time and attention. Sound familiar? Still, Murray said he thinks higher quality content will ultimately win. The fantasy that people will always go for higher quality is probably more along the lines of they will go for higher quantity, as shown with the MP3 explosion and those kinds of things. AI could be useful for audiobooks too, as it will allow the company to make audiobooks for smaller markets, where it couldn't before justify the expense. Book translations will also expand, opening up more revenue opportunities. And by this it means perhaps it's not worth having somebody come in and read a Russian translation of a book, because there's not that many Russians reading Russian books in America. But if AI could do it in just one pass, then why not? Further down the road, HarperCollins foresees how technology could help turn books into film. You can imagine taking a manuscript, pouring it in, and having a movie script or television script come out. Again, replacing humans. So the book publishing industry has always been sort of parallel with the music industry as far as product, consumption, creation, and they're going through their own set of worries, concerns, and promise of what the future holds as far as technology goes, especially with AI. This is a remora, and remoras will cling to sharks. They've got these sucker heads, and they, instead of having to track down and kill and eat fish on their own, they wait for their shark buddy to bite into a whale or a human or something. And then, of course, a lot of that residue will flow through the shark, through the gills or past its mouth, whatever, and the remora gets all of the tasty treats from it, all the little bits. This is sort of like this article here about superfans. 65% of Gen Z identify as creators. 8% consider themselves professional fans, earning money from their fan activities. How self-releasing artists can build a dedicated audience in the 2020s. Back in 2008, Kevin Kelly's 1,000 True Fans essay proposed that creators need only 1,000 loyal supporters to sustain a career. Yet the world has changed since then. Physical sales have been largely replaced by streaming, media reach has fragmented, fans have become content creators themselves. He introduced this popular theory back in 2008, and it suggested that creators of all kinds, artists, musicians, writers, performers, and more, could make a living by acquiring just 1,000 devoted fans. These fans would purchase anything and everything the creator produced, offering a good income by spending around $100 each annually, totaling $100,000. Kelly described a true fan as someone who would go to great lengths to support the creator, buying exclusive merchandise, attending shows, actively following every release. And obviously we see this with Taylor Swift fans who will buy anything that Taylor Swift puts out, whether it's Christmas ornaments or t-shirts or whatever. They would be considered super fans, and but not everybody's a Taylor Swift. She's sort of an anomaly now as compared to the norm. Today, however, streaming accounts for over 67% of global music revenue, with revenues reaching $19.3 billion in 2023. Meanwhile, digital music sales contributed only $0.9 billion, and digital downloads less than 5% of the annual total. This shift made it difficult for fans to spend $100 annually on a single artist. The bulk of fan spending now goes to the platforms, Spotify or Live Nation, with only a fraction directly benefiting the artist. So the idea of an artist having a fan who will buy all their merch all the time now, or in every record, will simply go to Spotify, and they will pay Spotify for the subscription, or Amazon Music or whoever, but that isn't necessarily now going straight into the musicians' pockets like it did when they would buy a CD. In 2024, the organic reach on platforms like Instagram and Facebook is just 4% and 2.6% respectively. While his vision was based on the power of platforms like Blogger and MySpace, today's reality is that artists struggle to reach even a fraction of their audience. So much more difficult to find that true fan base that will stick with you. Platforms like Spotify provide listener data, but they limit artists' direct connection with fans, making it harder to cultivate true fans. They might be streaming tons of your music and you don't know who it is. So you can't reach out to them, create a mailing list, and say, hey, you liked my song, here's my t-shirt. The YouTube Culture and Trends Report of 2024 highlights the evolution of fandom. 65% of Gen Z identify as creators, 8% consider themselves professional fans, earning money from their fan activities. This shift has turned fans into active participants and not just consumers, expanding the way fans engage with the creators. This means that the fans are creating content around the primary creator, the artist. 66% of Gen Z report spending more time with fan-made content than the original material. Fan culture now drives and amplifies popular culture. Platforms like TikTok and YouTube enable fans to create vast amounts of related content. People will spend more time with the ancillary product that is built around the artist, if that makes sense. And so they are in turn making money through click-throughs or buying product or whatever. For instance, when Drake and Kendrick Lamar released 9 tracks during their feud, fans uploaded 250,000 related pieces, generating more than 3.5 billion views. Taylor Swift's army of Swifties create YouTube channels that are dedicated to interpreting her lyrics and exploring her artist journey. The routes open for casual listeners to become superfans are more diverse than ever. So there's a whole industry of fans who are professional fans in the sense that they create content around the artist that other people are attracted to. And this content could be apparel. It could be interpretations of Taylor's lyrics. It could be Taylor Swift inspired fashions, jewelry tied to the lyrics themselves. So if you can't be the artist, if you can't, as Crosby, Stills, and Nash saying, if you can't be with the one you love, then love the one you're with. So all you remoras out there, get to it. You can make money without having to be the primary content creator. This is Young Thug. If you don't know who he is, he's an Atlanta rapper. He had 3 #1 selling albums back in 2017 or 18, something like that. In 2019, he got a Grammy for co-writing This Is America with Childish Gambino. Around 2022, he was indicted for running a street gang, the Young Slime Life, YSL, that is associated with the Bloods. And he was released from jail just this last October. The trial was the longest in Georgia history, but I'm not bringing this up to go into his criminal life. What I found interesting was the backstory. AEG is suing Young Thug for $5 million. They actually sued him a couple years ago for breaching a 2017 touring agreement, but it was put on hold while he was indicted and incarcerated. But now he's a free man, and so they're bringing the lawsuit back. $5 million. The agreement had given AEG exclusive rights to promote his concerts, which he didn't honor. Under the terms of the deal, AEG claims Thug was paid a $5.3 million advance and it was never paid back. Instead, he did his own concerts and pocketed the money himself without AEG. The debt was secured with Thug's copyright to his songs. He used his copyrights as collateral for the $5.3 million advance. And AEG now claims that they are entitled to get all of those songs and copyrights. They're entitled to the revenue that has been generated from those copyrights. So this is why it's interesting. I didn't know that major artists would use their copyrights materials as collateral for tours. I didn't know that was a thing. So all of that just to point out this one strange thing that I didn't know took place. AEG has the right to require Thug turn over his copyrights. But they found that he actually sold more than 400 copyrights to an unknown source. And so now AEG is trying to find where all of the copyrighted music and other copyrights, where they're being held and who by. And then the AEG will sue them saying, hey, those were ours. You need to give them back. So this is sort of an ongoing story. Meanwhile, young Thug was given 3 months to reacclimate to life outside prison before they could proceed with him personally. So AEG is trying to track down all of these copyrights that were used as collateral that he ended up selling, and then it's been distributed and resold. And so AEG is trying to get all these copyrights back. It's just what a wonderful, wonderful industry we are in. And now for Jonesy's cat shit crazy pick. This is the Dialtone D160, the largest subwoofer ever built. It was 60 inches in the 1980s. It can shatter windows, produces small earthquakes that can be felt like ground vibrations within a 2-kilometer range. At the factory, the test was conducted at first in the measuring room, but was stopped because the ceiling lamps fell due to the vibration. And the outdoor tests appeared to have a negative effect on the neighborhood, no surprise. The sound was felt, but at a great distance, it was transmitted as vibration and noise instead of audible sound. And the damage of vibrations, small earthquakes, as well as noises from walls and windows occurred. So imagine putting one of these in the trunk of your car. Just how much fun it would be to pull up to a red light, blast it, and everybody's windshields begin to shatter and buildings fall and just general chaos. So here's to this big ass subwoofer. Why did they build it? I don't know. But how cool is it? If you see one in a thrift store, you might want to pull up an 18-wheeler and drag it home and fire it up and play Dark Side of the Moon through it. That would be awesome. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please click the like and follow me and all those other good things. Bye.